Today, we're tackling a story that's, well, really sent ripples through the chess community. We're talking about Grandmaster Christopher Yoo. Yeah, it's been quite surprising, hasn't it? Our goal here is to really unpack this whole situation, look at the timeline, what actually happened, the actions taken by everyone involved, the organizations, Christopher himself, and then sort of step back and think about what it all means for, well, for one of chess's really bright young stars. We've got official statements, personal apologies, even some pretty raw reactions from the chess world online. It paints a, let's say, complex picture. Talent meeting some serious consequences. Okay, let's get into it.
Right, and to really get why this is such a big story, you need the background on you. He was born in 2006, clearly a prodigy, became a grandmaster in 2022. I mean, his rise was fast. Everyone was calling him one of America's brightest young chess talents.
Definitely saw him as a potential future star, yeah.
Absolutely, huge potential.
And then came October 2024, the U.S. Championships, this pivotal moment. After losing a really key game against Caruana, Christopher Yoo physically assaulted a female videographer. And crucially, this wasn't just reported secondhand, it was unfortunately caught on video.
Yeah, that video element was huge. The immediate fallout was, well, exactly what you might expect. He was disqualified instantly, expelled from the tournament.
Right then and there.
On the spot. And not just that, criminal charges were filed.
Wow.
And the U.S. Chess Federation stepped in quickly, too. They handed down a one-year ban from all American events, plus probation right through the year 2030.
A long probation period.
Very long. But here's the really important detail from that initial ruling.
Right.
It allowed him to keep playing internationally.
Right, that's key. So the U.S. ban was in place, but the international door was still open. And soon after, we saw an apology, didn't we? Shared October 21st by Susan Polgar.
That's right. Although, interestingly, it was his father, Young Kyu Yoo, who posted it. The note mentioned Christopher does not really use social media.
And what did Christopher's statement actually say? Well, we have excerpts. I'm really sorry for hitting the videographer. I was disappointed losing the game to Caruana and lost my temper. That's no excuse, I know. He called it a serious mistake, wish she could go back in time and undo it, accepted the consequences, promised this won't happen again. Seems quite contrite on paper.
It does. And Susan Polgar added a bit more context in her note. She said Christopher had apologized verbally right after it happened, that he felt intensely guilty. Apparently, he also sent a private apology note to the videographer and apologized personally to the St. Louis Chess Club's executive director that same evening. So multiple apologies.
Okay, so multiple apologies, acknowledging the mistake, accepting consequences, but the story doesn't end there because despite that U.S. suspension, Christopher Yoo, well, he kept playing overseas.
Exactly. And not just playing, he actually won a major tournament in Europe earlier this year, early 2025.
How did that work? I mean, with the U.S. ban.
Well, the U.S. Chess Federation's ban was just for U.S. events. They don't control FIDE events or tournaments in other countries directly, so he could still compete abroad. But it was during this time overseas that another serious issue came up.
Another one.
Yeah. Another serious allegation arose. This time, a female participant accused him of harassment at one of these international events.
Oh, boy. Okay, so how did the International Chess Federation, FIDE, react to this?
FIDE got involved then. We saw a tweet from them around May 9th this year, 2025. Their Ethics and Disciplinary Commission issued a provisional, temporary 60-day suspension while they investigated these new claims.
A temporary ban pending investigation.
Right, just provisional at first.
So we've got the initial assault, the U.S. ban, the apologies, then continued international play, a win even, and then another serious allegation leading to a temporary FIDE suspension. Which brings us pretty much up to date, July 2025. What's the latest official action?
The latest is that FEAT has now made a final decision. Just recently, they officially extended Christopher's U.S. suspension worldwide. So that means he's now banned from all international FEAB-rated tournaments until mid-November 2025.
Ah, okay. So the U.S. ban basically went global.
Effectively, yes. And that global probation also runs through 2030, matching the U.S. timeline.
So no chess for him anywhere official until late this year, and then 5 more years of probation.
Correct. It makes that tournament win earlier this year look very different in hindsight, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Now, Christopher Yoo himself has actually commented on this recently, hasn't he? Not through an official statement, but in a comment section somewhere online. Yeah, we saw these comments. He says, I will behave well at chess tournaments from now on. So acknowledging that. But then he adds he feels the situation is just harsh by Chris Bird and FIDE. Chris Bird being a key FID official, right?
Yes, often involved in these disciplinary cases.
Right. And you were already talking about his return. He says, I plan on making a comeback in 4.5 months and wiping this ban away. His plan is to behave well for the next 5 years at chess tournaments.
Hmm. Planning the comeback already.
Yeah, and he portrays himself as strong. I'm a strong person. I won't let all this negative media get to me. I'll try my best. I won't lose my temper again.
Hmm.
But then there's this slightly odd part about his appearance. He feels the media likes trying to make me look ugly and insists he's actually a handsome guy, not an ugly, sanctioned, and dangerous.
Right.
Calls himself a cool person who doesn't deserve this, even comparing himself kind of strangely to Steve Harvey or
Justin Bieber.
him.
Yeah.
So that's quite a statement, a mix of accepting he needs to behave, feeling the punishment is harsh, planning a comeback, and this defense of his image. How has the chess community reacted to those specific comments? Does it match the tone of his earlier apologies? Well, as you might guess, the reaction hasn't exactly been universally supportive of that perspective. We saw one comment from a user called Freed Liver Rocks that sort of captured a common sentiment. They wrote, "Lol, all of this behavior is just supporting the evidence he's not a good person and hasn't learned anything yet. Hope he can change, but we're years out from anything."
Hmm. So skepticism about whether the lesson has truly been learned.
Exactly. And I think this whole saga has really pushed conversations in the chess world about, accountability, about sportsmanship, what conduct is acceptable.
It really sends a message, doesn't it, that talent alone isn't enough. Your actions, especially off the board, have real, serious consequences.
Absolutely. So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean? We've followed Christopher Yoo's path from this incredible young prodigy to someone now facing global bans, intense scrutiny. It's a stark turnaround.
It really is. And I think this deep dive shows it's more than just one player's story. It's a real case study.
Yeah.
How individual actions, public apologies, sincere or not, and the responses from governing bodies all kind of intersect. Especially when you're a public figure in a high-stakes competitive field. It shows that character and conduct off the board are just as important as skill on it now. And disciplinary actions. They can cross borders faster than ever.
That's a great point. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? How might this whole situation change what we expect from young talents? Not just in chess, but like across all competitive arenas. And what's the role of the organizations? How do they help foster environments where, yes, skill is vital, but so is character, making sure the next generation really gets the whole picture of being in the public eye?
Definitely something to keep thinking about.
Indeed. Food for thought as we see how the rest of this unfolds for Christopher Yoo and for chess.